Hey everyone, Hassan here. Welcome to the world of Ha. Today, I have another Nintendo Switch related video for you. This is the D-pad controller by Hori. So here's the deal, right? You guys know you have the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, and overall they're pretty good. I mean, they're very versatile, and you know, lots of different things you can do with them. But one complaint that people tend to have is that they don't have like a normal connected D-pad. The buttons are all separated, and the reason is because on this side you have your A, B, X, Y buttons separated, and a lot of games use the Joy-Con sideways like this. So it would be weird to have one controller like this and one controller with a connected D-pad that would be a little bit different, right? Just so it's not equal for each player. That being said, why can't Nintendo release a different version of this Joy-Con so then players have the choice, right? Like, it makes perfect sense. Give us the option, because people have made their own custom Joy-Cons with the D-pad. I actually modded a Joy-Con, and I made it in a whole atomic purple Joy-Con. So I changed out the shell and everything. I could have, if I wanted to, swap out the D-pad. I didn't actually think to do that at the time. I probably should have. That would have been kind of cool. But regardless, Hori is looking to solve that problem. So this is officially licensed by Nintendo. It's not necessarily like first-party type of device, because it's not directly from Nintendo, but just like all the controllers from Power A and, you know, the other ones that you see in stores with this style packaging, it is officially licensed by Nintendo at least. So this is the left Joy-Con, as it says right there, D-pad controller. And basically it's Joy-Con with a D-pad, like a proper D-pad. The downside is it's for handheld mode only. The reason is, this is not a normal Joy-Con. Nintendo doesn't let third parties make normal Joy-Cons. So this thing connects, well, I don't know exactly how. I don't know if it uses like some kind of Bluetooth connectivity. I'm not sure exactly, but it, probably not actually, because it has to physically be connected to the Switch. So you cannot, even in handheld mode, you cannot take out the Joy-Con and use it separately, which would, I guess, be the tabletop mode, so it's not technically handheld mode, but so it cannot be done like that. So as you can see in the back, it's only meant when it's connected to the Switch, cannot be removed separately. There's no HD rumble or rumble at all. There's no motion control, and I believe there's no NFC support either. So you're losing out on a lot of the functionality that the Joy-Cons have just to get that special D-pad. So, is it worth it? Well, let's take a look. Let's see what it is. Now, I honestly wasn't going to buy this, and they actually have a couple different styles. This is the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild style. And I wasn't going to buy it, but I came across it at a store, and I love Breath of the Wild, and I was like, you know what? I feel like I collect so many Joy-Cons, I feel like I should have one with a D-pad just to compare. Now, even though this isn't like an official, like fully fledged Joy-Con or whatever, it's something, you know, it's worth looking at, I thought. It's worth buying one and seeing what I thought. So, that's exactly what I'm doing. If I can actually get this thing open, I'm just gonna rip open the package. I don't need the package. Okay, so here's your instruction manual right here, and I just need to see real quick if there's any kind of special instructions for connecting it. You just slide it in. Please update Nintendo Switch latest firmware. Yeah, it doesn't say there's any special thing. So we'll find out. We're gonna connect it and we're gonna find out. But here it is. So this is the special Joy-Con. My first impression is it's very light. It feels empty because it very much is missing things that a normal Joy-Con has. So it definitely feels much lighter. You know, I have the other Joy-Con right here. There's definitely a bit more weight to it on this one. So that's the first thing I notice. The minus button seems to be protruding a little bit more from the Joy-Con, like it's a little bit higher up. so it feels a little bit more mushy because of that. The joystick, I think, feels the same. The capture button, whereas this is very clicky, this feels more mushy. So I'm not a big fan of these mushy buttons. It feels a little weird to me. L and R. So the L button, not L and R rather, but L and ZL, is a little bit more raised up, and it's got a greater click to it, whereas this is a little bit more subtle, and it's kind of easier to click. This one takes a little bit more force. ZL feels the same. So that's kind of the comparison. Oh, and SL and SR, well, actually, no, I take that back, because you actually cannot use SL and SR. These are not going to be actual buttons, because you can't use this Joy-Con like this. It can only be used connected to the Switch. But visually, it looks the same. I guess they kind of kept the same placement of that there just to visually make it look similar. This little button's also protruding a little bit more, maybe? Maybe not. I don't know. But there is this little piece that's kind of the piece of plastic covering the button, whereas this Joy-Con doesn't have that. It's a little bit more translucent, so that's kind of the style that they went with. So yeah, so some definite differences there for sure. And I can tell because I've opened up a Joy-Con before. And I actually did a live stream if anybody wants to go back and watch it. You can see through here, right? Look. It looks empty, right? Because this is where some of the other pieces were. I think this is potentially where the NFC chip was. There's a couple different components that are there. Yeah, this looks pretty lightweight compared to the regular Joy-Con. But there it is right there. The main thing is the D-pad, right? So how is this actual D-pad, especially for like fighting games and stuff? And that's the thing. I don't really play fighting games and stuff. I really don't care personally about this type of D-pad. I think this is totally fine. In fact, I might even prefer these buttons because I don't want any kind of issue in any misunderstanding of which direction that I'm pushing. Whereas in certain fighting games, it's important to have like the directional, like diagonal input as well, which is a little bit easier with the style D-pad. I just don't care as much. Like it doesn't really matter to the games that I tend to play, you know, not as much at least. So enough of that talking. Let's grab my Nintendo Switch right here. And because this is a Breath of the Wild Joy-Con, I have my custom Legend of Zelda Joy-Cons from Controller Chaos. I've done an unboxing video about these in the past. But what I'm going to do now is let's hop into the controller's screen right here. And I'm going to take out my left Joy-Con, and we are going to attach this one here, and let's see what happens. Alright, so first thing that I will say is it clicked in just fine. I didn't remember hearing a yeah, that's very interesting. So look at this. So when you insert a Joy-Con typically, in fact I'll just take my left Joy-Con here, on the side you'll see the color appear and you'll hear the clicking sound from the software itself, right? You saw the gray and then went ksh from the software. You don't get that with the Hori Joy-Con. There's no gray line, anything. There's no sound. It just shows up. So that's very interesting. And it shows up as a gray Joy-Con, which is also very interesting. Does it work properly? Well, yeah, I'm going through the buttons, the menu here, so it works just fine. I don't really know what game to test this with necessarily. I do have like Puyo Puyo Tetris, so I could theoretically test it with that. But it seems to be fine. So the feel of it seems pretty good, I think. Capture button works. Yeah, I mean everything seems to work. So yeah, I mean it feels fine. I'll boot up Puyo Puyo Tetris or something in just a second, but the one other thing that I want to mention, and this was the main reason why, because I initially thought about buying these, but then I was like, maybe not. I ended up buying this one anyways. But the main reason is this. Look at the contrast here, right? Like, wait a second. I have two different style Joy-Cons. Now in this case, it's actually not too bad. because they're both kind of got some hints of gold. So like the whole Zelda theme kind of fits, but it still does look a little odd, right? Especially if, let's say I just bought the gray Nintendo Switch, right? So now I'm stuck with one fancy looking Joy-Con and one plain looking one. That doesn't work. That doesn't match. You know, what if I had this blue one here? It again, like it looks even worse. Like it doesn't match. And I know that the whole thing about Joy-Cons is you can mix and match colors, but when they're solid colors, it's much easier to do that. When there's a design on one and not on the other, that looks odd to me. So I don't actually mind it too much with my Zelda Joy-Cons, but this is a custom Joy-Con with a design on it, and this also has a design. I would have preferred if they would have released a set of Joy-Cons so that they would match. Now, granted, the right Joy-Con, there's no D-pad or anything needed. It would just be an extra normal kind of Joy-Con, but with the, you know, minus the rumble and all that kind of stuff. Because that's the other part is this Joy-Con gonna rumble, but this one doesn't? That's gonna feel a little weird. You know what I mean? I kind of want to test that actually, maybe in Mario Kart. I might test that out as well and see how that feels. Yeah, that's kind of the disappointing thing. And again, you know, once you slide out the Joy-Cons, this one disappears from the system, so you cannot use it detached. You saw it yourself when I was going through the controller menu before. So those are kind of my immediate things. So let's jump into some Puyo Puyo Tetris and see how that goes. All right, jumping into some Puyo Puyo Tetris, and let's see how it feels with the D-pad. Now, to be honest, I feel like Tetris is better suited with the existing Joy-Cons. Like, I think this kind of mushy D-pad just isn't as like helpful. Personally, it's better suited, like I said, for fighting games. I don't really play fighting games though, so I don't really have much to specifically test. So that's kind of the downside. But I mean, in playing with this, like I'm getting used to the D-pad. Yeah, it's slightly mushy, and it, you know, so I don't like it as much as a normal Joy-Con. But otherwise, like, I'm controlling it just fine. I haven't accidentally done anything that I didn't want to. And Tetris is the type of game that if your controller just doesn't function properly, you'll be accidentally dropping the blocks and it will mess you up. So far, that has not happened. So, you know, my initial impression is, I mean, it feels fine. I think it does its job. That was my fault. I messed that up myself. That was not an issue with the Joy-Con. That is my own lack of skill here with the... Oh, can I not swap? Hold on. Okay, there we go. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong. Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, it feels fine. Again, so definitely no issues with how the D-pad actually ends up performing. So now let's jump into some Mario Kart and test out the rumble being only on one controller and how that feels. Alright, so I have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe going right here. I turned down the volume so I don't get flagged for copyright stuff, but the game itself might get flagged from the screen, so we'll have to see. Alright, so I do feel a little bit of the HD rumble on the right side. But it certainly feels a little bit more faint than what I'm used to. That's why for a second I was like, wait, it is rumbling, right? So it feels more faint, but it actually does not feel lopsided like I was thinking. Like I was imagining that it would feel like the rumble's only coming from the right side. The rumble kind of feels like it's coming from the center of the system a little bit. Certain moments right there where you get a boost, that's when you definitely feel it a little bit more on the right side. Yeah, so I'm kind of feeling that now. But it's not as bad as I was thinking. I feel like the rumble seems to distribute itself across the system pretty decently. It just sort of doesn't have as much of the oomph, you know, it just doesn't have as much of the power because only one Joy-Con is rumbling versus both of them. So, you know, that's kind of my quick and dirty impression of the HD rumble only being on one Joy-Con if you're using the two of them like that. So what are my thoughts overall? You know, I think if you really, really want a D-pad like this, especially for fighting games or, you know, whatever style that you like, I think this is actually not bad. I'm not gonna lie. I initially went into this thinking this might not be worth it, but I actually think it's not bad. I think it does its job. Granted, it's limited, right? Handheld mode only. No NFC capability. No motion control. No rumble. Lots of limitations there. I also don't like the fact that it doesn't match with the Joy-Cons because it's only on one side. That being said, it works with my Zelda Joy-Cons because, you know, the design, like I said. Yeah, I just kind of have those mixed feelings. I'm not as big of a fan of the mushiness of the buttons, but it doesn't seem to impact me in my gameplay so far. So I'm not playing any intense fighting games, so it's hard for me to really compare specifically, but overall, it actually doesn't seem too bad. So I don't know. If you're in the market for this, this is certainly an option, I feel like. So definitely keep that in mind. The other thing also is you could just mod your own Joy-Con if you wanted. It's not that difficult. It does take some time and a little bit of finesse, but you can watch the live stream that I did and follow along and mod it yourself. So the cost-wise, I don't know how much different it would be. This thing actually, it doesn't cost too much. I forget how much it was. Maybe, was it $20, $25 maybe? Versus, you know, buying a shell of a Joy-Con or at least a D-pad replacement and then doing it yourself, you know? So, yeah, I guess it's up to you in terms of what you would like. I like this design of the Joy-Con as well. I just kind of wish, you know, it would match. But it's certainly not terrible. So there it is. That's the D-pad Joy-Con from Hori. Oh, one other thing I do want to mention, because that was something that when this initially released, there was an issue with it draining the battery of the Switch. I've heard that has been resolved. Obviously, I don't know because I just have set this up just now. But I heard that has been resolved by multiple sources. Multiple people are reporting that, so that shouldn't be an issue at this point in time. But just wanted to mention that. So hopefully you enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comment section below if you are interested in something like this. Would you buy it? Do you want Nintendo to release their own official D-pad Joy-Cons, or is this one perfectly fine for you? Let me know your thoughts below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. So as the Nintendo Switch continues to grow and develop as a system, I've done a couple of reviews, many reviews of Joy-Cons and other controllers, and, you know, a couple little accessories and things here and there. What do you want to see Nintendo Switch related from me? Are there any certain accessories that you are curious about? What do you want to see from me regarding the Nintendo Switch? Let me know in the comments. I do, as of now, still plan to keep collecting the Joy-Cons. I'm gonna try and get the Smash Brothers ones, the Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee ones. Any Joy-Cons that they release, I'm still gonna be trying to collect them. I will be doing unboxings of those and all the mixing and matching of all the colors, so stay tuned for that. I'm definitely excited about that. But yeah, let me know what you're interested in seeing, because this thing I just thought I'd pick up and make a video of, and it's actually not too bad, so ended up working out. So definitely curious what you all are interested in, so let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.